Hello everyone, I am Gabriel Riel, and this is the Rise Atlantis show. Hallelujah. Today is a very interesting topic of the day. I had seen a shadow on the wall again with the nightlight that picks it up, an LED light, and it had been a very long time since I've seen a shadow ghost apparition. And just because it's a shadow ghost doesn't necessarily mean it's evil, because with Hillary speaking, there was 4 shadow horsemen that appeared, and they were going one after the other. Not too many people know about this one, but I noticed it and I saw it, and and there's like 4 shadow horsemen that's speaking on the other side. Hillary's speaking on this side, the crowd's looking towards her, and on this side, on the building, is where it picked up the apparition. Now people, skeptics could say it's just people walking by, but the shadows wouldn't pick up, if it's people, wouldn't pick up from that far, because the lighting wouldn't have projected the people's shadows that far. So the science speaks for itself, and plus you see horsemen, you see actually horses and the people on top of the horses. So there was nothing like that walking around. So just because it's a shadow doesn't necessarily mean it's evil. I've seen shadow crosses before, so we need to really research these shadow apparitions more. And I plan to start up a ghost hunting group soon later on. And I plan to bring atheists to cemeteries and haunted places to show them proof of these shadow apparitions, so they can believe, because they hear the EVPs and they still say, okay, that's a little proof for them. They want more, because they think in their minds it could be signal waves and this and that. So you show them shadow apparitions, and you show them that it's not no trick, it's not no hoax. You block off everything. You it's not an insect if it's looks different from an insect. You can I should say, like on a certain part on the wall where you see a shadow apparition, you can move your hand across the top to make sure there's no strings, to make sure there's no things that's causing like some kind of object to make that show. It's not like magic tricks where they use invisible strings and all that. With these shadow apparitions, they're not like that. You could clearly block off all angles around the shadow apparition, and you could clearly know that it is not something being projected onto it. It's not like a hologram or anything. It is a real shadow apparition. And you're not crazy when you're able to pick it up on video, and luckily, I was able to get my first video proof of a shadow apparition last night. Like I said, it had been a long time since I've seen a shadow apparition. I'm guessing maybe a year and a half, and I've only seen shadow apparitions, I guess, like 6-7 times out of the estimation 7-8 years. So it's really stretched out to where it's like a shadow apparition every other 2 years, and it's very rare when I see a shadow apparition. I don't know what brought it on. Maybe certain activity. I guess what could have brought it on was I'm planning to turn that wall in the other room into a gaming room, and I plan to put a desk right in front of the wall. So maybe thinking about all that brought it on. I don't know. Or was it the show I talked about last night of all the ladybugs converging on the radio tower, and how it's a metaphor of human cloning? Maybe. I don't know. Very interesting though. So I'm happy I was able to record my first proof of a shadow apparition, and I plan to bring atheists so they can see it live. Seeing is believing. They can hear EVPs and they still get a little proof. They want more because they think it could be signal waves. And when they see something like this, they know, seeing is believing. And the second part of the topic of the day is a very big bombshell from Pope Francis. I hate to say it, but good news and bad news. The good news is that Pope Francis is admitting that they all knew about the scandal at the Vatican. The bad news is that they knew about it. So I mean, the good news is he's talking about it and saying that you know he knew about it. But the bad part is that they knew about it. The exact quote. This is real news. It's not fake news from CNN. It says, Pope Francis tells Chilean abuse victims, I was part of the problem. That I knew about it as it was happening. Oh my God, this is a bombshell. So this might be the end for Pope Francis. Maybe we need to bring a new Pope in because, you know, it's not good at all. Pope Francis knew about it, saying he was part of the problem. This is big stuff, man. I think we need to bring a new Pope in. I'm sorry to say, I mean, if you like the Pope, I mean, this is very, very big news. It's going to shake everything up, man. So, I can't believe it, man. So, the first news story is Turkish city, loading. Turkish city troubled by mysterious girl crying at cemetery. Huh. In Turkey, now we're seeing a lot of strange stuff coming out of Turkey. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, he's killing Christians, protesters. You see, the ones he kills are the ones that fight back. You see, he's trying to silence the protesters because the protesters are planning to remove him out of power. Diplomatically, like through a vote and all that, through an election. Now, Erdogan, he's a dictator like the rest, and he, you know, trying to do away with them voting and all. So, President of Turkey, Erdogan, is not a good person at all. He's trying to silence all the protesters, you know, that are calling for elections to remove him out of power. He's throwing the protesters in prison. Now, the ones that fight back with the Molotov cocktail bombs and all, what that is, if you don't know, is in a glass bottle, you fill it up with kerosene, gasoline, and a rope at the end of it, light it up and throw it. It's the most easiest, basic form of a bomb. You know, it doesn't do that much destruction, but it can set people on fire. So, maybe some of the protesters in Turkey, you know, and they do that all around the world. They're doing that in Egypt. They do that a lot in Palestine, Israel. So, maybe these protesters were throwing those Molotov cocktail bombs. I mean, but even if they throw a rock, even if you throw a rock at a soldier, they could try to shoot and kill you as a protester. So you can't even throw a rock. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, yes, people throwing rocks at soldiers is not good, but at the same time, it's not a reason for them to shoot and kill the protesters. There's never a justified reason. Only unless they're coming at them with the gun also, I hate to say. But you can't go and shoot cops either. That is not right. And they do need to defend themselves. But at the same time, if the protesters are unarmed, they should not be shot and killed. So this is what's happening. President of Turkey, Erdogan, he's killing his protesters that are fighting back violently. So it's like... Now, when I say violently, a rock is not violently. I mean, a rock is basically like a joke. Because these cops in Turkey, they have like the SWAT, you know, full armored protection and everything. And these aren't boulders they're throwing, they're small little pebbles, you know. That's no reason to kill them, you know. Now, if it's a Molotov cocktail bomb, that's hard to say. They shoot them with rubber bullets, tear gas and all, and it's a mess. It's hard to handcuff them, you know. But at the same time, these cops in Turkey, they're like SWAT. They have, they could take, I hate to say this, but they could take the Molotov cocktail bombs being thrown at them. Because they have full protection, they have those large shields like the SWAT and all. They're called riot patrol, you know. And, you know, all their equipment blocks them from those Molotov cocktail bombs. So even then, that's not a reason to kill protesters. I know it's bad throwing those Molotov cocktail bombs, but at the same time, it doesn't give them a green light to go and shoot and kill them. there's better ways, you know. Tranquilize the protesters if they have to, the violent ones, but don't kill them. And that's what Turkey's doing. He's killing. Now, not only that, they find out they're Christian, they're gonna kill them also. They're persecuting a lot of Christians in Turkey, like that American pastor that's being held there, being charged with espionage with no proof, you know. So they're starting to go further. They're killing Christians in Syria, and they're even calling for the destruction of Israel. So Turkey is sending their troops into Syria to try to take over Syria, and then but Syria is connected with Assad. They're all together. So then they're planning to establish their bases in Syria, and then they're going to infiltrate Israel. So it's all prophecy, you know. And Israel needs to defend themselves against Turkey. So it is a big mess, and it's weird how Turkey is where Noah's Ark landed in Mount Ararat, you know. So it's weird how, you know, could Erdogan be evil? Could he be doing this on purpose? Could he be the terrorist? He is a terrorist, but could he be the Antichrist? So it's weird. Is all this connected to this mysterious girl crying at the cemetery? It's weird. Now it's not a ghost crying; it's a real girl. And she's been crying for the last 5 days. I wonder, is it straight day and night? She's believed to be in her late teens. Okay, this is weird. Even people are gathering around her to watch her, like it's becoming a spectacle. First they noticed her by herself. But I guess when she's crying in front of a bunch of large amount of people, she covers her face, like she has her head down on her lap and stuff, so people don't see her, you know. So it seems she's not doing this for attention, because first when she started, no one knew that she was there. You know? She could be doing it for attention, or could it be something bigger? Could she be getting some prophetic revelations? Is she being called by the Holy Spirit here? This is very interesting. I like this story. This could be the story of the good news, hope of Jesus' return. This is very interesting here. The girl subsequently returned over the next 4 nights. She goes in the night. Word began spreading that this was happening. Let's see here. People are even trying to comfort her. They're trying to hug her and ask her what's wrong. Why is she crying? The only answer they receive, let's see, is it from her? She's not talking to any other people. That's weird. She just says that she doesn't want to tell them why she's crying. And even the police are trying to tell her to leave. This is weird stuff here. Let's see here. After the first encounter where she eluded the police, authorities took a step further by coordinating off the cemetery in the hopes of catching her during her next visit. Oh, this is weird. It has gathered 300 people around to go and try to talk to her. Man, and try to see what might happen. So it's becoming a public spectacle. But this is good. She's drawing awareness to the supernatural here. I like this. Let's see here. So she hasn't showed up since then. People are saying she might be a spirit. I don't know if people were talking to her. The gravedigger who works at the site has a skeptical take on things, musing, saying she is probably drunk or a drug addict. And that she's giving the city a bad name. Now, could she be grieving for someone who passed away? Or is she doing this to bring his return? I mean, it's very fascinating. even if she's doing this for attention, at least she's doing it for good purposes. So it's bad for people to do things to get attention in the wrong ways. You know, like this new craze where kids are sending hate messages to themselves on social media just to get their friends to like them and cry for help and stuff. That's concerning. Next story. People are starting to do strange stuff lately. A tourist steals a dolphin from a Chinese beach and walks off with the dolphin on his shoulder. Like he just got a souvenir, you know? Man. Bizarre video from China. Let's see. Strolling down a beach with a dolphin on his shoulder. Police are trying to track him down. He stole the creature from the ocean. So there's a warrant out for his arrest. Witnesses say that the dolphin was either dead or dying when the man picked up the unfortunate animal and tried to take him to his house to save the creature, is what they say. Maybe he wanted to bury it or something, so that's strange. People say they saw him tossing the dolphin into the back of his truck and fled the area. Bad intentions for what he planned to do with the stolen animal is what people are thinking. This is weird. The video went viral. Well, they have video. Video went viral on social media, prompting angry responses from wildlife officials. Authorities are trying to track down the tourist. Say he will be punished for his actions. That is weird. Weird indeed. Let's see here. So this is it right here. That's a pretty big dolphin. This ain't no small dolphin. In China. You're just casually walking with it. Now it is alive. It's flapping its tail and everything. So it is alive. You can't just walk off with a live sea creature. Now it depends. If it's a small animal, like say a crawfish or something, or one of those lobsters, or stuff like that, I mean, it probably won't do anything to you if it's a small animal, But if it's as big as a dolphin like that, dolphins are endangered species. So you definitely can't steal those. But if it's like a crab or something, I mean, come on. A crab is like an insect. Anyone can pick those up. And they're everywhere. They're not endangered. So it depends. Even a certain type of fish, if it's small enough and not endangered. So. Weird stuff indeed. People are doing weird things. That girl crying at the cemetery, I think she has good intentions. Maybe she's getting, she could be mourning someone, or maybe she's just going and she's getting, maybe she's sensing Jesus' return. Very interesting. Ghost goes after camera at graveyard in England. So the best place to see ghosts are in cemeteries and abandoned places, abandoned houses, buildings. I don't know where the ghost is. I really don't see it. I should have, if I had my brightness all the way up. No, I think I need to pick my brightness. Oh, now I saw it. I still need to pick my brightness all the way up. I mean, yeah, it looks like it kind of swoops by. Let's see here. I believe it was right here. I'm just going to show the replay. That's pretty cool. Now, like I always say, you don't have anything to fear with ghosts because they can't hurt you. It's strange how this wasn't a shadow ghost. This was like a white mist ghost. So ghosts can hurt you. Next story. People say they do, you know, like they trip people and stuff like that, but I've only felt something grazed by my foot one time walking in the dark, but it never felt like an actual trip. It just felt like wind or something, you know, so it can't really push you off stairs and all that stuff. I mean, there's limits to what ghosts can do. Yeah, they may try to like touch your face or pull on your shirt and all, but that's like harmless stuff, you know. People say they get scratches and all. I don't know. I've never been scratched. So, you know, you see these shows where they sensationalize it. And it's just not true, you know. Now, people say they've had that happen to them, and, you know, and as a Christian, we can't argue with them. We just say, well, if that's what you believe happened, then I respect that, you know. For me, personally, I don't believe it. Ghosts cannot hurt us. There is a line, a barrier that God has where they cannot attack us, you know. Next story, tourists flocking to Peru's new-found Rainbow Mountain. Now this is the Rainbow Mountain here. Now they're not saying what's so special about it yet. Let me look into it here. But this is the Rainbow Mountain. I don't see what's so special about it. I mean, yeah, the formation is nice. Is it rare? Is it... Could it be supernatural even? But I don't know. A lot of mountains look like they could form like this. What's so special about it? It is 16,000 feet above sea level. I mean, aren't all mountains? Okay, let's see here. It's stripes of turquoise, lavender, gold blanket. Okay, so it has some it has some kind of precious stones in it, so that's interesting. It's a ridge of multicolored sediment laid down millions of years ago, pushed up as tectonic plates clashed. So it is something unique. So it is rare, so that's pretty cool. Peru. A lot of weird stuff happening in Peru also. I forgot what it was lately. Was it a U.f.o or something else? Peru. That's where the child sacrifices were. Isn't that weird? Next story. Brain holograms may I hate you loading. Curse you loading. It says... Any day now. Brain holograms may one day help blind people see and paralyzed feel. So, you know, people have always been saying, oh man, Stevie Wonder's never seen a second in his life. He was born blind. But at least he has seen through dreams, you know. It's weird, right? How when you close your eyes, you can't see at all. But when you're asleep, you actually see sharp detail, even though your eyes are closed. That is strange. And dreams can be so real. You hear sounds and everything. Wow. It makes me wonder, the power of the mind, you know? When you're asleep in dreams, it can make you do certain things that are strange. And it's weird because if the mind is so powerful like that, then our mind should be powerful enough to heal us from all ailments. And if only we could just trigger that sector in our brain to say mind over matter, and we stop cancer, we stop heart attacks, we stop everything, you know? I wish it were like that with me with my ulcer, you know? And it's like, imagine if we could utilize our mind 100% to where we mind over matter all our ailments. Wow, that is very interesting to think about. Now, I don't recommend using all these psychological medicine. It messes up the brain. You got to be very cautious about that. 3 American Christians held in North Korean prison could be soon released. So hopefully we're seeing a change in the North Korean government. we say, God bless you, North Korean government. Kim Jong-un is becoming a real good Christian now, so we congratulate you, Kim Jong-un, North Korea. Thank you so much for choosing the righteous path of God. Bill Cosby, Roman Polansky expelled from the Academy. I feel it's a persecution what they're doing to Bill Cosby. Now, there could be proof I haven't heard about, but from what I've heard, I haven't heard enough proof that Bill Cosby did it. So it's sad, when people are accused of things without any proof. But when they're accused things with proof, it's like, it's different. Next story, Kevin Hart's friend charged with trying to extort him. It's a girl. Most likely she could be a gold digger. Gold digger. Next story, Chinese military lasers injure U.S. military pilots in Africa. This is weird stuff. Chinese military is shining lasers into the U.S. military pilot's eyes in Africa? Huh. This could be the first signs of attack that China is attacking America through advanced technology like lasers. And were they going to say, oops, they accidentally aimed the laser the wrong way? No, were they intentionally doing it? Shining the lasers in the pilot's eyes for long periods of time, trying to make them go blind and where they can't even see where they're going? Now, even when I say blind, it doesn't mean like permanently blind instantly. When you shine a laser in someone's eyes like that, it blinds them temporarily, but it blinds them big time, and they won't be able to see where they're flying. So this is weird stuff here. This is a concern, man. Chinese personnel at the country's first overseas military base in Djibouti have been using lasers to interfere with U.S. military craft at a nearby American base. Activity that has resulted in injuries to U.S. pilots' eyes, oh my god, prompted the U.S. to launch a formal diplomatic protest with Beijing. This could be the signs of a war happening with China here. This is big, man. I hope not, because we get a lot of cool stuff from China. Wish.com. I get a lot of cool stuff from China, so I really hope that the shipments from and to and from China and America doesn't stop, man. This is big. We could be going to war with China here. Many different occasions China was doing it, so it wasn't just one time. This is not good at all, man. It seems China's starting to warmonger with something as frivolous as a laser. I mean, people see it as a joke, but this is signs of confrontation here, man. They're pushing the buttons, man. They're crossing the line. Brother of Parkland shooter accuses county of torture, files lawsuit, saying that the school didn't do anything for the people bullying his brother, and that's why his brother shot up the school. So he's saying that the school didn't do anything to the bullies, and now he's planning to sue the school. Can you believe it? Not just the school, but the county. This is weird. GOP candidate aims gun at teen in campaign ad. Georgia Republican candidate Brian Kemp aims a gun at a teen in his latest gubernatorial campaign ad. This is not good. What a wacko, man. What a wacko. A wacko indeed. Now, you can't really see his face that great. What kind of face is he making here? Looks like an arrogant face to me, man. Whoa. Yo, he's making like a, how do you call it? Like a, look at his eyebrows here. Okay, this guy is strange. He's like mad dogging him. Look at his eyebrows. He's mad dogging him here. And look at his face right there. You see the lines in his mouth? Clearly he's doing that like a mad dog face. Like, that's not good at all. He's aiming a gun at it. This is not good. Now they're not saying why. Was the other guy in there part of a stunt or something? I don't know. Even if he is part of a stunt, the other guy on the right, it still doesn't make it good. This is bad news, man. Bad news indeed. $3 gas coming soon. Hopefully they don't jack it up to $4 or $5, you know. It seems we need a protest, man. We need to protest the gasoline companies to stop charging us more in the summers. They're still going to make their money, man. Doesn't mean they have to take advantage of us like this. Hawaii volcano eruption possible after hundreds of earthquakes hit island. Hundreds of earthquakes hitting island. So, these earthquakes could trigger more volcanic eruptions. So, this is good stuff. More than 110 killed by high-intensity dust storms in India. Weird. A dust storm causing... okay, first I thought it was lightning. Dust storms in India. High intensity. 110 killed. First I thought it was lightning. Yeah, it is. Fierce wind and lightning strikes. Okay. Here is the video. Let's see. There it is. Oh, come on. Here we go. Yeah, you see how it's blowing all this stuff around. Man, that's crazy. I wonder if it's causing tornadoes also. 110 killed. How it's causing lightning is weird. Now they're not showing any damage to like buildings and stuff like that. This might be one of them. Shaking buildings? Could it possibly shake a building and make it collapse? That's weird. In India. A lot of people out of power in India. Let us pray for the people of India. And now the topic of the day. Which first, before I talk about Pope Francis, I don't know whether to talk about Pope Francis first or the apparition. I guess I'll go ahead and say the best for last and talk about the apparition in the last part. Now we'll go ahead and talk about Pope Francis. Okay, so like I was saying, the good news about this is the Pope is trying to tell the victims of the scandal that I guess that they were trying to handle things the best they could at the time, even though they knew about it. This is my take on it all. The Pope Francis is saying that he was trying his best in the fact that they knew of all these things happening. The bad part about it is saying what he's saying here. This is actual quote from CNN. This is not fake news. This is real news. Pope Francis tells Chilean abuse victims, he said that I was part of the problem. Can you believe it? Pope Francis met with bishops in January at the Metropolitan Cathedral in Santiago, Chile. In Rome, 3 survivors of abuse victims urged Pope Francis to turn his words to action. This is big, man. And this might make Pope Francis leave. You know? And if he does leave, I believe we need a new Pope that is free from all scandal involved. Yeah, I would hate to see him go because he's been such a proponent against greed and for the poor. But maybe he's been doing that just to make himself look good in this recent scandal that he was involved in. I hate to be talking bad about the Pope here. I mean, a lot of Catholics may like Pope Francis a lot, so I'm not really bashing him. I'm on both sides of the fence here. This is disturbing news. The Pope is admitting guilt, that he was part of the scandal. This is, oh my God, this is just big news, I'm telling you. Pope Francis is admitting that he was part of the scandal. It says here, 3 victims of the abuse scandal: Juan Carlos Cruz, James Hamilton Sanchez, and Jose Andres Murillo, all from Chile, spoke of 5 days they spent with Pope Francis as his guest in Casa Santa Marta in Vatican City. Cruz said the Pope told him that he was part of the problem and that he caused it, and he apologized to him. Man. Pope Francis invited the survivors to the Vatican, apologized for grave errors in his handling of the Chilean abuse scandal. Now, this was in Chile. This wasn't just one part of the world. Most of the abuse came from Italy. I don't think Chile is in Italy. I believe Chile is by Italy. So the most part of the scandal happened in Italy. But there was these bad priests that were involved in the scandal, all parts of the globe, you know. So the survivors met with the Pope individually for 2 to 3 hours, and then again as a group. They said, let's see here. Get this. Pope Francis had initially discounted the survivors' testimony against Bishop Juan Burroughs. So first, the Pope Francis was calling these accusers liars. Now that's something you do not do. You never call an accuser a liar, you know, especially if you're the Pope. You're not supposed to automatically defend one of your own people and call the accusers liars without any proof. So that was wrong. He shouldn't have called the accusers liars. Okay. I hate to be talking about the Pope like this, but it's something that needs to be discussed, because if the mainstream TV news isn't going to talk about it, it's up to us to talk about it. You know? Now, whether if this warrants Pope Francis being removed, I mean, it's may have to be something that the people vote on, you know. I feel people in the Vatican should be voted by the people. You know, it shouldn't be certain people. It shouldn't be the priests or bishops voting the popes in. It should be the vote of the people. It should be like a president here. You know, it should be all about the voice of the people here. You know, so maybe there should be a vote from the people of Italy to say whether Pope Francis should stay or go. So this is big stuff here. But first, Pope Francis was wrong to have done this. To call the accusers liars, that's something you do not do, especially if you're the Pope. That's the last thing you do, which is really the thing you don't do at all, you know. Let's see here. So he was defending Juan Burroughs. Now, Juan Burroughs Bishop Juan Barros isn't the one that did this. He was defending the priest that was doing these actions. So he was defending the priest. This Bishop Juan Barros was not the one involved, but he was defending the bad priest. And it says, the survivors say witnessed and covered up abuse in Chile. So Juan Barros was the one covering it up. Even though he didn't take part in the actions, covering up is bad enough, you know. The Pope appointed Barros a bishop in 2015. This is big news here. This is the main part of the story here. Pope Francis appointed Barros a bishop in 2015. Get this. Over the objections of residents of the southern city of Osorno. So the people were telling Pope Francis not to make Barros a bishop in 2015. But Pope Francis ignored the voice of the people. He went over their right of voice, their how should I call it? Their right of vote. You know, after all, Jesus wanted everything to be for the people. You know what I mean? Man, this is big news, I'm telling you. So not only did Pope Francis call the accusers liars, but he also made Barros a bishop over the objections of the residents of the southern city of Osorno. So first he called the accusers liars, then he ignored what the people were saying, and still chose him bishop anyways. This is weird stuff here. I hate to say this is damning evidence against the Pope Francis. You know, does Pope Francis deserve a second chance? I don't know. I believe it's up for the people to decide. You know, so the people of Italy need to have a vote whether to keep Pope Francis in or to replace him. Me personally, I'm on both sides of the fence. You know, it's weird because Pope Francis, he ignored the voice of the people twice, and first calling them liars, you know, so this is not good at all. Cruz is one of the accusers. He said Barros, get this, Barros covered up for Reverend Fernando Caradima, whom the Vatican found guilty of the abuse scandal in 2011. Okay, so this Bishop Barros covered up for Reverend Fernando Caradima, found guilty of the abuse scandal in 2011. So Barros was the one covering up for him. But get this, Pope Francis was the one covering up for Barros. So it's like a pyramid scheme. And they all protect the people at top. You know, and it's very strange, man. Very strange indeed. The main part about this that makes it the weirdest is that bad priest was found guilty in 2011, and Barros had been covering up for him for so long, and everyone knew about it. The thing that makes this the hardest to the thing that makes this the hardest to deal with is Pope Francis appointed Barros a bishop in 2015. After all these years of the scandal around Barros, how Pope Francis still named him bishop in 2015. That's something you do not do. You do not name a bishop, you do not appoint a priest a bishop after they've been involved with proof of so many things for so long. And the fact, so Pope Francis has done three things wrong already here. He called the accusers liars, he ignored the voice of the people, to even appoint him in as a priest before he was a bishop. So first he called the accusers liars, second he appointed him as a priest, and then he appointed him as a bishop after all this proof that Barros was doing. This is big stuff. Pope Francis has done three wrong things here. Oh my God. And get this, he defended Barros strenuously for 3 years, calling accusations against him calumny. Now it's weird how you use a word different that is translated from English. He didn't use a word that would be translated in English form. He used a word that would be translated that is not in the English translation. How weird is that? Could it be to avoid translation? but we do not get lost in translation here. The translation for calumny is, and the exact pronunciation of it is calumny. Calumny. It's spelled C-A-L-U-M-N-Y. You'd think it'd be calumny, but it's pronounced here calumny. And it means the making of false defamatory statements in order to damage someone's reputation and slander. Why would Pope Francis use a word from Latin? I believe they speak Latin in Italy. Why would he use a word that would be translated into English that the English language would not recognize? Could he have used this word to try to throw people off from finding what he was talking about? I mean, it's very strange. So he was saying, Pope Francis was saying, he defended him strenuously for 3 years, calling all his accusers liars, basically, is what he's saying. By saying, calling accusations against him lies. It's like basically he's calling all the accusers liars. So this is the fourth thing Pope Francis has done wrong. Now, he's calling all the accusations against Boros as calumny, which is calling all his accusers liars also. 4 wrong things Pope Francis has done. Boros has denied knowing anything, what he called the serious abuses of Caradima. Francisco, I believe, was his first name. And said he never approved or participated in those actions. In a statement, January 30th, Boros Diocese said the bishop expressed that he is taking everything related to Pope Francis with faith and joy, asking God for the truth to shine through. You know, they could say all the words they want. The fact is that Pope Francis has done 4 wrong things. And this Boros has defended this guy, the bad priest, for so long with so much proof, and he's been defending him, and the Pope appointed him as a bishop 2015. So it's disturbing stuff here, man. Very disturbing stuff. And now the Pope Francis is he's coming out saying that he was guilty in the abuse scandal. That he was a part of it. This is, oh my gosh, man. This is big stuff here. And I hate to talk about the Pope like this. I hate to talk about the Vatican like this. But it's something that needs to be discussed. Because TV, mainstream news isn't talking about this. Hopefully they do. I mean, this is for CNN.com. But, I mean, from what I have seen so far, they haven't been talking about it on TV news. And even then, they might run just a snippet of it. So the mass majority of the world may not hear of this, you know. And it's something people need to know about. Pope Francis has done 4 wrong things here. Now, I'm not calling for him to be removed. I think it should be for the people to decide, you know. Because now Pope Francis, he's admitting that he was part of the problem. He's admitting he knew about it all. This is not good at all. It says right here, for almost 10 years we have been treated as enemies. These are the victims saying this. Because we fight against abuse and cover up in the church. Cruz said, reading a statement on behalf of the group. This is not good at all. So Pope Francis has done 4 wrong things here. And they're very big, what he did. Calling his accusers liars, ignoring the voice of the people not to choose Boros as a priest at the time, you know, and then making Boros a bishop after all these years of proof that Boros was covering up for the bad priest and for calling all the other accusers liars again. After the first time he called them liars. So, this is weird stuff here, man, you know? Now, there's been a lot of stuff coming out that has been showing that Pope Francis has been saying and doing blasphemous things. Now, I can't confirm all of it, but I have seen a lot of weird, strange things he's done and said. That'll be a topic for another day. Compile them all together. But then again, I don't want to be finding stuff that is fake hoaxes and I think is real. So that's what I hate about compiling all this information, evidence together, because you get a lot of fake news coming in. You get a lot of hoaxes, and it's very hard to tell what is a hoax and what is not. So I don't want to be putting Pope Francis on blast for something he didn't do. So it's hard, because with hoaxes, it's like you never know the truth. We are living in an age where we don't know what is real or what is false nowadays. And that's not good. Because back then, there were no hoaxes. Now hoaxes overfloweth. So now we'll go ahead and end the topic of the day with the shadow apparition I saw. And then we'll go ahead and do a couple of EVPs. So, the Pope, man. He's admitting to the things he's done wrong. Though Pope Francis was not part of those actions, he's admitting to some form of cover-up. And it's not good at all. I don't know, man. Now here we'll go ahead and I think you need to pick the brightness up. Yeah, it's already up. Okay, let's see here. This was very fascinating what I picked up. Now, I've been wanting to see this for so long to get proof, so this is technically my first proof of a shadow apparition on my wall. Here we go. Right about now. Did you see that? It jumps and then it goes into the light. Goes into the light. I just thought of that. Goes into the light. The fact that it's a shadow apparition, people think they're evil. But it's going into the light, which means all the evil people, if they repent, will go into the light as well. Just like all of us will go into the light. The light means heaven. Oh, wow, I just thought of this right here. Going into the light is what I'm going to call this apparition. Going into the light. The shadow, ghost, is going into the light. How beautiful is that? See, the light means heaven. Right about now. Wow. Going into the light. Let that be the theme of the day. Hallelujah. We are about to go into the light of heaven. Wow, man. Jesus is returning. Hallelujah. That is beautiful, man. See, I didn't think of that when I first saw the apparition. I didn't think of the meaning of it. And now that I know the meaning of it, it's pretty awesome, man. That's very, very cool, yo. Very inspirational, I will say. The meaning of what it meant, going into the light. Even though it's going down into the light, we're going up, it's going into the light. The light is not down, no. The light is not in hell. People say, oh, but it's flames of fire, it's lit up. It also says that hell's going to be dark. So it's going to be like a dark fire. Very strange. But hell is going to be filled with so much. They're going to be plagued with roaches on them every day. All kinds of insects, locusts even. Bees, the whole 9 yards, People think hell is just burning in a pit of flames. It's going to be a combination of everything. Insects on them every day. They're going to be haunted with such fear. Every kind of plague, every kind of curse you can imagine will be placed on the wicked. And it's so justified, so justified. Okay, here we go. Now let's do a couple of EVPs here. We always do 6. Actually, yeah, it's 6. We do 3 rounds of 2. And here we go. Wow, going into the light. How beautiful is that, right? I have no idea what this means. You receive a boost. Isabel feels special. I don't know an Isabel. You receive a boost. Isabel feels special. Oh man. A boost. What kind of boost? This phone has the words gazer, like gazing into space, and aching. The devil will be aching in hell. Goldfish. Sounds like goldfish maybe. And disease. Maybe it could be talking about diocese. About the Vatican Church here. Oh, and after all, the Vatican Church did create, I heard the technical story about this is, the Vatican satellite is in a building next to a company that is called Lucifer something. And how strange is that? Now, I first heard the story that the telescope was called Lucifer. But they said that the building next to it is called Lucifer. And supposedly it means like against the devil, but like praying for the lost. Something like that. So it's very strange stuff. Again, weird stuff coming out of the Vatican. So, disease could probably meant to say diocese. And the gazer, the telescope. Now, goldfish. We are all like goldfish here in this planet, you know. So, how funny is that, right? Okay, now we'll go and do 2 more. 2 more, I mean 2 sets of 2. And we'll go and do 4 more, technically. Okay, here we go. Oh, so many words, man. So many words. It's always hard to piece this together, man. Okay. You want home, like I want a home. I really do. I want my own place. You want home that suits you. Leon, venture far afield. I don't know. So it is strange because it's saying I want a home, and I really do want a place of my own. That venturing far away is what it's saying. I know the word Leon, so that's weird. This phone has the words. Oh man. Arrowing. Arrow. Something is shooting an arrow or something. Arrow. And storing up something. And a label. This is weird. Talking about shipping something. Thai, could be maybe Thailand, Taiwan. Villain. There's a villain in the other side of the world. And then hydrogyre. Hydrogyre. Something dealing with water maybe. And talked. So, we have something of an arrow that is storing a label in Taiwan maybe. And a villain of a hydrogyre, could maybe say girl. and talked. I don't know, this is weird. Very weird indeed. We'll go ahead and do 2 more. This is weird. I had to add a word in here. I had to add the word day to make it make sense. Get a better decision now by the end of the day. A better decision of what? So I don't know what that means. Get a better decision now. What does it mean? I don't know. This phone got the words perpetuated. Now perpetuating means to keep going and building up. Crescendoing. Oh man, he's coughing. No more coughs. Perpetuated, then protecting. Could be talking about the Vatican scandal, how we need to protect children better. Perpetuated protecting. Vomiting nails. I see this word a lot here. Vomiting nails. I see vomiting fire, vomiting flames, vomiting nails. It could mean, because sometimes I vomit in the middle of my sleep from reflux. It's horrible, and it's all a result to this ulcer and everything, so my health is bad, but it's getting better, man. But I'm telling you, we suffer indeed. So perpetuating, protecting, vomiting nails, spraying. You spray the knee or something. Cyanide, some kind of chemical. Slop. You know, people call food slop if it's bad. Slop, maybe a sloppy person or something. Quartered, a quarter, like a quarter but quartered. Estimator, something's estimating. Someone's coming to visit. The words is coming to visit. Acellus, A-S-E-L-L-U-S, and hackler. Could that be hacker? So what do all these words mean? Perpetuated, protecting children. We got words here that probably talks about how it could be talking about the Vatican here. So it is strange indeed. And I don't know how to make all these words fit into a sentence. Perpetuating, protecting, spraying, cyanide, chemical, an estimator, coming to visit, hacker. Or hackler also sounds like heckler. Someone heckling. So I don't know what to make of all these words here. Hopefully we find meaning in these words soon. Very strange indeed. It is weird how we got words that could sound like it could be talking about what I was talking about today. About the Vatican. So, you know, very big stuff indeed. I mean, it is good how Pope Francis is talking about what happened, but it's bad because he's talking about that that he was involved in it all. He was involved in it, so it's not good at all. You know, hate to say, man, but does the Pope Francis need to go or not? I don't know. It should be the vote of the people. Okay, so we'll go ahead and end the show there. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please tell everyone you know to like, share, and subscribe. I need all your help so I can boost my subscriber base up to, the goal is at least 10,000 soon. But the dream is like 10, 15 million to where we could bring in 1 million viewers a day, which is $1,000 per day. And I'm not doing this to get filthy rich. No. I want to use this money for good purposes, to bring Jesus' return. I don't want to splurge and buy a mansion and yachts and expensive cars. That's not me, you know. I want to use this money to do great things to bring our Lord's return. Amen. So, hallelujah. Go ahead and end it there. Thank you. God bless you all. And let's pray for the Vatican, man. You know, they're really trying their best to clean up all the past scandals, you know. So the Vatican really needs to change and reform, and they really need our blessings. They really need to really just reform so much to where they make the Vatican perfect, you know. So I believe popes should be voted in, not by priests, but by the vote of the people. So that's something we need to stand up and call for a revolution for. Is the vote of the people should decide who the next popes are going to be. So I'll go ahead and end it there with that note. Thank you. God bless. Good night. Jesus is returning. Hallelujah.